Praxis 5701. 5 Key Agricultural Technology Terms to Know Preparation Quiz. Question 1. A student is designing an experiment to test the effect of different soil types on the germination rate of bean seeds. The student has 3 soil types: sandy soil, clay soil, and a commercial potting mix. The student plants 20 bean seeds in each soil type, waters them with the same amount of water daily, places them in the same location with equal light, and records how many seeds have germinated after 7 days. The student finds that germination rates are highest in the potting mix, intermediate in sandy soil, and lowest in clay soil. The student concludes that clay soil inhibits bean seed germination. Which of the following questions about the experimental design should the student consider before accepting this conclusion? Is it? Option A. Was the commercial potting mix sterilized before planting, while the field soils may have contained weed seeds that competed with the bean seeds for resources? Or B. Did the student measure soil pH? And if so, were the pH values within the optimal range for bean germination across all 3 soil types? C. Did the clay soil drain more slowly and potentially become waterlogged, reducing oxygen availability to the seeds compared to the sandier soils? Or D. Were all seeds obtained from the same seed lot and stored under identical conditions before planting to ensure equal viability? The correct answer is C. This question requires critical evaluation of experimental design and consideration of confounding variables. The student's conclusion assumes that soil type itself directly affects germination, but the observed differences could be due to correlated factors. Clay soils typically have smaller particles and poorer drainage than sandy soils or potting mixes. If the clay soil remained waterlogged after daily watering, the seeds may have been deprived of oxygen, which is essential for germination. This would mean the effect is due to soil moisture characteristics rather than soil type per se. Option A is possible, but less likely to affect bean seed germination counts. Option B is relevant, but pH effects on germination are typically less dramatic than oxygen deprivation. Option D addresses seed viability, which should be controlled, but is unlikely to explain the pattern if seeds were from the same source. The most plausible confounding variable is differential drainage and aeration, which directly affects germination physiology. This highlights the importance of considering multiple factors in interpreting experimental results. Remember, we can take your Praxis 5701 exam for you remotely and undetected with 155 score guaranteed. Message us via the number in the bio. Question 2. A farmer has a 50-acre field that has been continuously cropped with corn for the past 15 years. Yields have been declining gradually despite increasing fertilizer applications. Soil tests show adequate NPK levels, but organic matter has dropped from 4.5% to 2.1% over this period. The farmer is considering implementing a crop rotation that includes soybeans and a winter cover crop of cereal rye. Which of the following best explains how this rotation would address the underlying cause of the yield decline? Is it? Option A. The soybeans will fix atmospheric nitrogen through rhizobia bacteria, reducing the need for purchased nitrogen fertilizer and saving the farmer money on input costs. B. The rotation will break the life cycle of corn-specific pests and pathogens that have built up in the soil over 15 years of continuous corn, reducing disease pressure. C. The cereal rye cover crop will add organic matter to the soil through its root biomass and surface residue, slowly rebuilding soil structure and water-holding capacity over time. Or D. The combination of different crops will extract different nutrients from different soil depths, preventing the depletion of specific nutrients that occurs with monoculture. The correct answer is C. The key information in this scenario is the dramatic drop in soil organic matter from 4.5% to 2.1% over 15 years of continuous corn. Question 3. A plant science class is studying the process of transpiration. Students set up an experiment using potted plants sealed in plastic bags with the soil covered to prevent evaporation. They measure the mass of the entire setup daily for 1 week and observe that mass decreases each day. They attribute this mass loss to transpiration. One student questions whether some of the mass loss could be due to respiration, since plants release carbon dioxide during respiration. Which of the following explanations correctly addresses this student's concern? Is it? Option A. Respiration does not cause mass loss because the carbon dioxide released comes from carbohydrates produced during photosynthesis, and the mass of the plant is not affected by gas exchange. B. Respiration actually adds mass to the plant because it requires oxygen uptake, and the combined mass of gases exchanged results in a net gain, not loss. C. The mass loss observed is primarily from transpiration, and any mass change from respiration would be negligible because the carbon dioxide released is refixed by photosynthesis during the day. Or D. Respiration does result in mass loss as carbon is released as CO2, but this loss is accounted for in the experiment and does not invalidate the conclusion that transpiration is occurring. The correct answer is D. This is an excellent scientific question that demonstrates critical thinking. Respiration does indeed result in mass loss because organic compounds are broken down and carbon is released as carbon dioxide. However, In a healthy plant during daylight hours, photosynthesis is fixing carbon dioxide into organic compounds at a rate that typically exceeds respiration. Over a 24-hour cycle, the plant may have a net carbon gain if photosynthesis exceeds respiration. But critically, even if there were a net respiratory loss, this would be part of the plant's normal metabolism and would be included in the measured mass change. The experiment does not need to isolate transpiration from respiration. It measures total mass change from all causes. The conclusion that transpiration is occurring is still valid, because water loss through transpiration is the primary mechanism of mass change in such an experiment, and respiratory carbon loss does not negate that transpiration is happening. Option A is incorrect. Respiration does cause mass loss. Option B is incorrect. Respiration requires oxygen but releases CO2, and the mass balance is a loss. Option C is partially true but oversimplified. It doesn't fully address the question. Option D correctly acknowledges that respiration causes loss, but that this doesn't invalidate the transpiration conclusion. Question 4. A rancher is considering crossbreeding some of the commercial beef herd to improve maternal traits. The current herd consists of straight-bred Angus cows. The rancher is considering using a continental European breed, such as Charolais or Simmental, on some cows and retaining the female offspring as replacements. Which of the following statements accurately describes the genetic principle that makes this crossbreeding strategy potentially beneficial for maternal traits? Is it? Option A. Crossbred cows will be larger than purebred cows, allowing them to wean heavier calves due to increased milk production capacity. B. Heterosis or hybrid vigor will be expressed in the crossbred females, particularly for low heritability traits such as fertility, longevity, and maternal ability. C. The crossbred females will have a higher percentage of desirable genes from both breeds, resulting in more uniform and predictable offspring performance. Or D. Crossbreeding eliminates all genetic defects from the population by masking recessive alleles, ensuring that no genetic disorders will appear in future generations. The correct answer is B. Crossbreeding is a powerful tool in animal breeding because it takes advantage of heterosis, also known as hybrid vigor. Heterosis is the phenomenon where crossbred offspring outperform the average of their purebred parents. Importantly, heterosis is greatest for traits that are low in heritability, meaning they are heavily influenced by many genes and environmental factors. Fertility, longevity, calving ease, and maternal ability, milk production, mothering instinct, are classic examples of low heritability traits that respond well to crossbreeding. The retained crossbred females will express heterosis for these maternal traits, potentially making them better mothers than either purebred parent breed. Option A has some truth but is oversimplified. Size alone doesn't guarantee better maternal performance. Option C is incorrect because crossbred offspring are actually less uniform than purebreds due to genetic segregation. Option D is false. Crossbreeding masks recessive alleles but does not eliminate them from the population, and they can reappear in later generations if carriers are mated. The heterosis explanation is the correct genetic principle. Question 5. A student is conducting a science fair project to test the effectiveness of different organic pest control methods on aphid populations in a home garden. The student sets up 4 plots with tomato plants. Plot A receives no treatment. Plot B is sprayed with insecticidal soap weekly. Plot C has ladybugs released weekly. Plot D is sprayed with a homemade garlic and hot pepper solution weekly. The student counts aphids on 5 randomly selected leaves from each plot every week for 6 weeks. The results show that Plot B had the lowest aphid counts, followed by Plot C, then Plot D, with Plot A having the highest counts. However, the student notices that Plot B plants also show some leaf yellowing and reduced growth compared to the other plots. Which of the following conclusions and recommendations is most appropriate based on these results? Is it? Option A. Insecticidal soap is clearly the most effective treatment and should be recommended for all home gardeners, with the leaf yellowing being an acceptable trade-off for aphid control. B. The garlic and hot pepper solution was ineffective and should not be used, as it showed little difference from the untreated control plot. C. Ladybugs are a living organism and cannot be recommended because they may fly away, making them unreliable for home garden pest control. Or D. Insecticidal soap showed the best aphid control, but may have phytotoxic effects on tomato plants, suggesting that integrated pest management combining multiple approaches might be optimal. The correct answer is D. This question requires interpreting experimental results with nuance and recognizing that the best treatment for one variable may have negative effects on another. The student measured both aphid counts, pest control efficacy, and observed plant health, phytotoxicity. Insecticidal soap was most effective at killing aphids but appeared to damage the plants. This trade-off means that a recommendation of insecticidal soap alone might solve one problem while creating another. The ladybugs provided moderate control without plant damage, suggesting that biological control might be preferable even if less immediately effective. An integrated approach might combine compatible methods for optimal results. Option A ignores the observed plant damage and overgeneralizes from one experiment. Option B incorrectly dismisses the garlic solution. While it was least effective, it still showed some reduction compared to control, and further research with different concentrations or application methods might be warranted. Option C makes a blanket statement about ladybugs that is not supported by the data. They did provide control in this experiment. Option D appropriately acknowledges the trade-off and suggests a more sophisticated approach to pest management. How many did you score out of 5? Let us know in the comments below. Also, tell us which exam we should cover next. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more.